Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com.
Zurawski v. Texas. This is probably going to be one of the marquee documentaries for the year because it's basically happening in real time. We are 2 years removed from the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, and in several states that triggered abortion bans. And one of the first major case studies of what happens in a post-Roe world concerns Amanda Zurawski, a woman in Texas who she and her husband were trying for a long time to get pregnant. They finally did. And then at about 16 weeks, she miscarried. Her water broke too early. The pregnancy wasn't viable. And when she went to the hospital to get care, the very draconian Texas abortion ban basically said no. The exception is for the only exception is for like the life of the mother, but she wasn't close enough to death to get care. And because of that, she went into septic shock and may never be able to conceive. So she, along with several other women in the state, who basically had these horrible, miscarriages and non-viable pregnancies, sued the state of Texas to say, hey, at least clarify the law. Tell me what counts as my life being in danger and what doesn't, so that a doctor can give me proper advice and not be in fear of losing their medical license and going to prison for life. So this film essentially chronicles her case along with several others through the district court system and then to the state level court, where they initially get success, and validation, and then at the state level where it's ultra conservative and honestly they don't care about a woman's life. Let's just put the fine point on it. They're ignored. And it is quite tragic to, see how this all unfolds, because it's kind of a microcosm of what happens in all politics in this country. Like, the more you talk to people and the more you learn from them, from interacting with them, from just, being a human being to another human being, the more empathetic you become and the more you're willing to reconsider your positions and beliefs. And the people who are most at a remove, the Texas Supreme Court in this case, the further they are from these people, the less compassionate they are. I mean, this film has a lot of graphic images. We see a woman vomit on the stand because she's reliving this horrible trauma that happened to her. We see a funeral for a fetus that was forced to be born and died 4 hours afterward because it had no chance of survival. It had an underdeveloped brain. It was never going to make it. And it takes a lot to sit through it. It really does. Like, this is not for the faint of heart. It's not gross by any means, but we're dealing with literal life and death circumstances that happen in the real world, in this country, in 2024. The resolution of Zurawski's case was only in May. And the film also incorporates Kate Cox's case, which was appealed to the Supreme Court just this week, and the appeal was denied by the people who overturned Roe v. Wade. I try not to get political when I talk about these things, but there's a line of basic human decency that I think these laws, especially when they're incredibly vague, because all they care about is we're saving the babies, that needs to be just brought front and center and exposed for the BS that it is. I do not quibble with anybody's personal beliefs. If you are massively, pro-life, anti-abortion, I understand that. I went to high school in a very Catholic community. I get it. But again, spend time with these women, learn their stories, These aren't just, straw men that a political wing is trying to paint. That's the purpose of this documentary. Like even like you look at polls, even hardline conservatives think there should be exceptions to abortion laws by wide margins. And all they were asking was define the exemptions so that my doctor can give me the health care I need. And when you see the likes of Lindsey Graham rolling his eyes at a congressional hearing, when you see a Texas Supreme Court justice saying, "Why didn't you sue the doctor for malpractice?" I was like, what were they supposed to do? I was like, these are women who wanted their babies. These weren't elective abortions. These women wanted this. And when it went wrong, they relied on their government for help because that was the option they were left with, and their government betrayed them. To the point where Amanda Zurawski nearly died. To the point where Kate Cox nearly died. To the point where an actual OBGYN who had a miscarriage, has to basically pass off her own clients because she can't go through this again. That's the point of the film. It takes a lot. If anybody wants to steer clear and say, no, I just can't handle that, it would trigger me too much, fully understand. But in order to truly grasp the issue that's at hand here and the need for basic empathy, compassion, and decency that comes along with these women's plights, I think it's essential that people watch it.
Man, it's amazing that they got the movie done.
Especially as quickly as they did. Again, Zurawski's case was resolved in May of this year, and by October, there's a feature-length documentary about it.
That is amazing that they got the film done. And, it's no accident that they did this movie, that they got it out in an election year, when so much is hanging on the line. I mean, we could talk about this subject till we're blue in the face. It's something I feel strongly about as well. I don't...
The best way to sum it up is this is the best movie you wish didn't exist.
That would be a tough one for me to watch, but I'm glad somebody made it, because it's stuff that has to be seen and has to be said, and hopefully it'll gain some attention, and hopefully it'll make a difference.
This is the BTRP Media Network.